इतना सा फर्क है कुछ होने में और बहुत कुछ होने में। इतना सा फर्क है एक बार सोच के छोड़ देने में और लग के कर दिखाने में। मान लेने में कि जिंदगी ऐसे ही कटेगी और सुबह 4 बजे उठ के सोचने में ये अभी तो बस शुरुआत है। किसी मैगजीन को हाथ में लेने में और उसी मैगजीन के कवर पेज पे होने में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वीआईपी सीट में और उसकी पिछली सीट में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वो जिसका मैदान ही खुला आसमान है वही कल जमीन पर तो था। पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी ये एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानकुर से दूर, अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और 7वें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा है। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया।
Greetings to all the participants from India and around the world. I am Deepak Yadav, CEO of FrankPop, the world's leading franchise consulting firm. Over the years, we have had the privilege of helping iconic brands like McDonald's, Hilton Hotel, KFC, Tata, Reliance, Tanish, and lights of them to expand their footprints through strategic franchising. This session is designed for companies that are either exploring franchising as a growth path or are already on the franchising journey. Our objective is simple: to equip you with insights, strategies, and proven frameworks that can transform your business model into a scalable franchise opportunity. We urge you to stay curious and engage. Ask questions, challenge ideas. Our collective experience has added millions in enterprise value to our clients, and today it's all here for you. Agenda for the webinar today. We'll cover topics which are: when is the right time to franchise? Is franchising the right strategy for your brand? What does it take to become franchise ready? Why do many franchisees fail? And how can you avoid the trap? The 5 pillars of franchising success. Remember, franchising is not just about business expansion. It's about building systems that allows others to succeed while you scale. Let me introduce you to our speakers today, starting with Mr. Gaurav Maria, the name that needs no introduction. Entrepreneur, author, innovator, advisor, and the undisputed franchise guru of India. I have had the privilege of working closely with Gaurav sir for nearly a decade and have seen firsthand how he has helped countless businesses multiply their success. Often referred as father of franchising, Mr. Maria has been instrumental in turning franchising from a niche concept into a national growth movement. We also have the fortune of having Ms. Sonia Chaudhary with us. She is the Managing Director of Franchise India Brands. Sonia ma'am brings over 2 decades of leadership in franchising. She has architected franchise network for numerous Indian and global brands and is widely recognized as one of the most influential voice in the industry today. Without further delay, I would request Gaurav sir and Sonia ma'am to take this forward.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you for hosting this webinar. And also my other 2 colleagues, I'll introduce Bharat, who leads our learning and development in our company. And we also have Konal, who's a young colleague who works with Deepak closely. And he will be the one who would be in touch with you if you want to pursue further on that. So I'll pass it on to Sonia first, and she gives a little overview about Franchise India, Fran Global, and FrankCop. This is hosted by FrankCop, but we have other 2 group companies. She will give give a little overview about our group. And then I'll take over, maybe give a 10-minute perspective on how franchising can help you scale your business if you are looking to and grow your business. And then we have a short presentation which we will run through and tell you what you need to be prepared before you get into franchise. Because the success of any franchising, I have seen over the years, last 28 years, had a fortune to work with the best of the best brands in the world, including McDonald's, KFC, all these large corporations, which are household names globally. They have a very strong capabilities being built to not only just franchise their business, but also to control and sustain their franchise systems. And that we all going to talk about when we run the presentation. Is a short presentation. And friends, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A box and keep asking your questions. It will not only help you, but will also help other attendees who are attending that. They might also have the similar question. So please use Q&A box and ask yourself. And even if you want to introduce yourself, just go on, introduce yourself on a Q&A box. What brings you to this webinar? You're putting a valuable time in the middle of the week. So what brings you to the webinar? Are you looking to franchise your business, or are you looking to buy a franchise? Sometimes people see Franchise India and they join in, but their interest is to buy a franchise. And if you're already franchising, that also you can write what kind of business or any difficulty you face. We'll touch upon the challenges which you would have in your franchise system. So over to you, Sonia, for the basic introduction, and then I'll take over.
Thank you so much, Gaurav, and friends, a very good evening to all of you. While we talk, I'll also request if you can also share your cities that you come from, the name of your companies, and if there's any social media page or your website that you can share with us, we can also go through the same. So, and just to get started, I'll say good evening to all of you. I welcome you to the Scale Up webinar. This is the initiative which has been taken up by FranCorp and also a group companies, which is Franchise India and Fran Global. And between all the group companies that we have, we currently operate in about 90 cities in India and 15 international markets. And these operations in India run under Franchise India and the consulting arm, which is Fran Group. And all the global expansion and the presence of our business in global markets, which is 15 countries, is under Fran Global. And so what we're going to cover is obviously about franchising, what franchising is, how big the industry is. We'll talk about the opportunity size, how you should expand via franchise route, the preparedness you need as a entrepreneur, when you should do that, and how to strategize your rollout is something that we're going to cover. And equally important, I would say the most important part, which is, I would say, the speciality of FranCorp is helping companies to make a sustainable business model. And that is a core strength and the proposition that we bring. So between our all companies, I would say, we play a very important role being a catalyst in the entire ecosystem of franchising. And we also believe it is a responsibility is to also educate companies on growth through responsible franchising and also to assist companies to build sustainable businesses which can create and bring a big proposition of a value proposition for all the stakeholders. So a little background, I'll start with FranCorp, and Deepak did give a background to FranCorp. So Franchise India has been in the industry for the last 28 years, and FranCorp, which is the consulting arm of Franchise India Group, is a company which is based out of US, and we acquired FranCorp about 19 years back. So FranCorp is much older than Franchise India, which has been in the business for about 50 odd years, which has consulted all the big names synonymous with franchising, brands like McDonald's, KFC, that we all relate to when we talk about franchising. And FranCorp is also the world's largest and oldest consulting company, and headquartered in America. And it has worked with all the big names in the industry. And it has, in fact, pioneered the franchise consulting industry way back in 1976, and now present in about 20 countries. And our company, Franchise India, we bring in 2.5 decades of experience at the group level. And it is currently the largest franchise development and distribution company in the world. So when I say the largest, there is no company which is bigger than Franchise India and our group companies across the world. And over the years, we have worked very hard and invested a lot of our time, our money, and most important, I would say, our learnings that we have gathered working with a lot of entrepreneurs like yourself, working with investors who look to buy business and larger companies. And we've also built and evolved our capabilities at the group level in order to add value to the entire franchise community. So just to give you a background, franchising is not just about a business model, but it is a very powerful tool for value creation. Whether you are a franchisor or a franchisee, franchising can in fact unlock a lot of value across financial, strategic, operational, and brand dimensions. And a well-run franchise network is very important to increase the equity of your brand. It helps you build your brand asset. And if you look at the overall franchise landscape in India, which is evolving very, very rapidly, if I look at the last 5 years, this has changed big time since we started way back in 1999. And it is driven by today large corporates, private equity companies, new age entrepreneurs who are actually reshaping how franchising works. And today, India is the second largest franchise market in the world after America, with a $180 billion dollar market size in a big global industry, which is $5 trillion industry globally. So our intent is to pass our learnings, which will help you de-risk your business model, especially for business owners and also your franchisees, and create value proposition for all the stakeholders which are involved in the business. So we'll take you through some of the important criterias which are important, especially for the first time companies, entrepreneurs who want to venture into franchising. So we'll talk about it. Friends, I'll request once again, if you can share a bit about your businesses, your companies, maybe we'll check your website. If you're already franchising, we'll request you can mention you're already franchising. If you're exploring franchising, you can also mention that. But anyone who's already franchising and you have some locations, you're operating through a franchise model, please share your details. So I'll give it back to Gaurav to set. You're on mute.
You can also add that which industry you come from. And sometimes people have a doubt that would it work in my industry or my kind of business. So we have a lot of example. As I said, we have done 18,000 brands. So there'll be certainly some examples which we can share how franchising has worked. So let's start with the presentation. If anybody can put the presentation.
Sure.
Yeah, jewelry. Somebody said jewelry project in franchising. Today we are very fortunate that we're working with the best of the best. On one side, we work with Kalyan, GRT,
Indria.
Indria. We work with Tanishq in international markets. We work with Senco Gold, which is a public listed company out of Calcutta. We work with PC Jewelers. We work with
PB.
Cargill. So there is so much of work we have done. Rather, jewelry franchising, I'm very proud that I was one of the pioneers who started jewelry franchising in India. And it is one of the most sustainable franchise models I've seen, because you're dealing with precious metal, and that also appreciates. And look at what has happened in the last 2 years. Gold itself has appreciated. So it's a great business where your inventory continue to appreciate, and you still make good money on the margins to stock turns. So it's a very interesting business model, and so we love to have a chat with somebody who has written that they're part of jewelry. So friends, let's get started. But before I get started, I'll tell you the meaning of franchise. Franchise means rights of privilege granted. When you pass your brand, your know-how, your systems to somebody else, and they can make a commercial success on that, and that becomes a franchise. If you're a product company, you obviously supply the product and make margins in the supply chain. Like I was a jewelry company, I will sell my jewelry to the franchisee and I'll make margin in the supply chain. But if I was service business, which means that I'm a salon or a food business, then I will charge royalties against my brand, which has been used there. But it's a very responsible way of raising money. Whenever people think, why should people franchise? That's one question everybody has to ask. People franchise for three reasons. One reason is capital. Especially if you are an early stage business, how would you grow? You will not get debt, you will not get equity. Franchising becomes a great way to scale your business, right? Because you can bring other people money. We call the OPM principle. You bring other people money and you can grow your business. So that's one part. The second part is local knowledge. Like India is so complex, so very complex. We are many countries in one country, different languages, behavior, consumer behavior, buying patterns, everything changes in this country, right? So you need to have somebody who brings a local knowledge. And third is time and speed. You can do growth of your brand much faster. Look at the example of a large corporate clients of ours called Zodio, right? Zodio was a newer product from Trent, which is Tata organization, and they chose franchising as a way to grow. And West Side has been there for last 20 years. Zodio came much later. Zodio runs now about 600 plus some outlets, and it's changed the complete value creation for Tatas. Tata doesn't have to franchise because they don't have enough money in the balance sheet, but they know the speed of growing that business would only come if you choose a franchise route to grow the business. So let's get started with the presentation. I have a hard cut at 5:30, so keep asking your questions and I'll pass it on back to Sonia. Then Sonia would take the balance part of the presentation. So first we have to ask ourselves that is franchising for you? Some of the points we have written, something can relate with you. So when your product and a service has a greater demand in the markets which you are not currently servicing. Look, this happens all the time. I meet a lot of brand owners and I go to them and say, oh, look, people come from all the way to me. That's wrong, actually. There can be some fans who can come to you, but you're losing a larger amount of people because you're not available there. Like we are doing a jewelry company out of Jaipur, and their entire clientele was coming from Bombay, Hyderabad, and places like that, even Delhi NCR, and they were never there. Now we are helping them to be in NCR, Bombay, Hyderabad, because their larger part of clientele was coming from there. They used to specially come, but they were not having their own presence in those markets. So they were getting only a very small share of the target group, which used to be identifying and coming there, but they were not getting the full structure. So ask yourself, do you have a customer which you currently not servicing because you don't cover that market? Then franchising can be a great opportunity for you to scale. Your immediate competition has taken a lead and you have a better or equal product. Sometimes it happens. I went when in early 2000, I saw that markets would get organized. The modern retail was started to happen, especially in the early 2000, 2001, 2. And I reached to a lot of consumer electronic regional players. And I told them that, look, if you don't expand enough, you will be out of the business, because I saw Chromas and Giants Digitals, all these coming soon. And they would take the market share. And if you are a small, maybe 10-store business, you will not be able to compete with these giants and you will go out of the business. So sometimes we don't identify that the competitions go beyond us and they become much bigger than you because you've not taken the lead to continue to scale your business. Another area which is very clear, with this happens with all the startups, they see a good growth, they have a good business, but they don't have capital to grow their business. Then franchising becomes a very important part of it. Operationally, sometimes we go to entrepreneurs, and Sonia can add to it. We meet a lot of company owners and they say, oh, I cannot expand because I don't have a good manpower. Who would look after my business? They're always struggling to have the right people. So franchising again becomes a great idea because you have a local partner who take your burden in that region. He brings in local knowledge, local administration, local capabilities to grow and maintain that business model. And this is one of the reasons large companies franchise, because they feel they need to have somebody locally available to look after business. Another area which is you have an innovative and first mover advantage, which you don't want to lose it, right? Sometimes you're the first mover. Like we were talking about this young company which we started called Belgium Waffle. It's just a waffle everybody knew, but there was no chain of waffle. What I hear is that now they run about 1,000 point of sales. They created a category and run the category. It can be as simple as that business. It can be a company which we were very proud we started with called Ferns and Petals. It was just a flower shop and flower delivery business. But they were pioneer to think that flowers can also be delivered and flowers can be ordered and somebody can order on your behalf and they can deliver in the business. And they're not only now the market leader by far in India, but many other Southeast Asian markets, GCC and things like that. It's a $500 million business. Another thing which is equally important, that your business itself needs a large distribution and economy of scale. So friends, if any of these things you see happening with you, then time has come that you start evaluating franchising. Next slide. So before you get into franchise, you need to also ask, are you ready for franchise? Because I have seen if 100 companies we have advised, if 60 had done well, 20 has just survived, 20 has also failed. And when I look at the companies which failed, was not that they had a bad product or they were not working hard on growing their business. They didn't have systems and procedures in their business to control their franchise system. I've seen chains which gone very, very fast and collapsed because they didn't see Like, for example, there was a brand which we did was a sari brand, and it went to about 125 stores. And I used to constantly say that this is a category which is shrinking, and you need to add categories which a women is adapting, which is means ready to wear and things like that. And they never changed. And slowly, all their stores got shut. Kodak is a great example. It was a great company, a photo processing company. Till 2004, they were a top franchise brand. They didn't realize this world was changing digital, and the entire business and all franchise networks collapsed. So there can be different reasons why companies, if they don't innovate on time, or they don't change the systems, or they don't have deep systems and training, they will not be able to sustain themselves. So we've listed down about 18 things which are very, very critical if you are looking to franchise your business. First thing is your brand preference and engagement. What is your brand? What kind of credibility enjoys? What kind of PR you have? What kind of awards you've got? Yesterday, Sonia and I had a meeting with father and daughter, and they just came from an award and got an award. It was just a young coffee brand, but now been recognized. And everybody's talking about it. It's very well executed. This is the right time for them to start looking at franchising, because they now in news, everybody's talking about them. They don't want to lose that momentum, right? But they have to do carefully. They need to choose right partners carefully, who also are custodians for your brand and look after your brand. Second point is your proven business systems and processes. What kind of prototype you have running? Like these days, I was yesterday seeing that some chaiwala is launching his
Dolly Chai Wala.
franchise concept. Sorry,
Dolly Chai Wala.
whosoever, Dolly Chaiwala, whosoever is in the entire thing. He can create a lot of buzz, but I don't know how much he is ready with his real prototype. So I feel that sometimes people just want to sell things on hype. That's also not important. That's not good, because you need to have a deeper capabilities, much deeper capabilities, your supply chain, your operating structures, your training structures, how you're going to reward people. Everything has to be very well defined before you get into that. And this is where Frank Corp really works on. Frank Corp is proud that we have worked with the best of the best companies. I mean, in India, the biggest network is Geo. It was all created by Frank Corp. We are very proud of that. Unilever, 4 projects were created by Frank Corp. 3M, which is a top company, we were the ones who were involved in creating their franchise model, not only for India, but globally. But the biggest project which Deepak is doing, and he can talk about more about, is Google. So we are actually chosen globally for working on the Google Chrome store. So we're working on a Chrome store, how Chrome stores would be established in there. So these credible companies come to Frank Corp for our learning, for our understanding, and we also understand how investor looks at a business, what kind of challenges they can go through, and how we can improve that. Third part is your financial performance and margins. How do you have the right financial performance of your business? What kind of margins you're running? Is it affordable for a franchisee to afford this franchise? Because in India, we don't have franchise financing. So you have to be very conscious that you need to make business models which franchisees can afford. And what kind of capitalization you would require to support your franchise businesses also. That's also extremely important. Then we get on to management and leadership team. Who are the founders? What is their story, background? What is your key management team, especially who are going to be running and supporting the franchise? What is your organizational design? Sometimes complex designs confuse franchises. They get lost, right? They like a simpler nuclear structure where they can reach and get solution. And rather, the companies have to be proactive to guide franchises. The next is your competition and market trends. What kind of competition you see around you, how you see your industry moving next 10 years, what is the future demand in 5 years, because you're selling somebody a business model which would last for next 10, 15, 20 years. So you need to also forecast what is going to happen. And if you feel that there can be some disruption, how ready you are for the disruption, how you constantly building your capabilities to address that. And the last part is how your product and service cycles are changing, how much innovation you are consistently doing, what kind of R&D you do on your business and continue to read your customers, what is your differentiation cycles, your offering, price, experience, and what is your change cycle, how you change your business. So friends, if you go through these 18 things, it will tell you some things you have, some things you need to prepare, some things you need help from a company like Frank Corp to really prepare and design that. And we are also happy to share this presentation with you. If you can just put your email ID Kunal would send you today itself your presentation. So you have this presentation handy. Whenever you want to review it, you can do that. The next slide. This is a very important part, and post this, I will leave it on Sonia to give you what kind of services and products we do. And I'll do this slide quickly because at 5:30 I have a hard cut. So as you see at the bottom, it's franchising is a careful organization designed to attract ongoing capital and build sustainability network. So on one side, you constantly raise capital through franchise, but you also create sustainability in the business. You need to really make sure that the franchisees who trust you are also sustainable for a long term. Now, we break this, when you make your franchise ready, we break this into 4 big pillars. And the first pillar is PASS. So how do we bring predictability to your financial model? And we will create everything which can be measured. Second, we bring accountability for stakeholders. What is your accountability and what is the franchisee's accountability? What kind of standardization we need to bring in to ensure that the consistency of consumer experience happens. When you go to Marriott, you want to have Marriott experience. When you go to Apple Store, you want Apple Store experience. When you go to a MRF tire shop, you want MRF experience, right? So how you consistently deliver that experience, and finally, how this can create scalability for you, because the whole idea of you getting into franchise because you want to scale your business, and franchising is a great scale strategy, and that's why companies use it. And there is a difference between scale and growth, which I will leave Sonia to explain when she gets through entire thing. How scale, why franchising is a scale strategy to a basic growth strategy. Then we'd get into the second pillar, which is triple C, how we bring in controls, because control is very important. You need to control everything happens in your brand while you're sharing the brand with a franchisee, but you're not letting it go. So you need to be absolutely controlling all the operations, quality, consumer experience. Then how do you make compliance? How do you make sure that your franchisee is compliant with almost everything? And now there's so much of compliances, right? So it's not only so taxation and other things, but you need to be compliant on a lot of things. It can be a safety, it can be women working in a business, and so on and so forth. So a lot of compliances you need to get right. Then you have a consumer connect. How do you really ensure that every customer is captured by you? I sometimes tell in my seminars, look at a company like these PSUs, Indian Oil, Hindustan Petroleum, Bharat Petroleum. Almost everybody who has some form of auto have gone to them, but they don't know anybody. How shame is this that they don't know who got gas station to their gas station and got petrol done or diesel done, which car they came in, how frequently they come. They have no data, right? So they were old school distribution companies. That world has gone. Now business intelligence would come if you know your customer well. So how do you create a structure? Even if you're franchising, you exactly know who buys, when they buy, how frequent they buy, and where they come from, and what can be the future next life of an consumer, what means lifetime purchase of the customer. Then we go to air. Air is how attractive is your business model, how it is ready for investors, how you are hedging the risk of the investor, because the investor not only sees a return, but also sees risk. And finally, it is the ERR program, how we encourage, recognize, and reward our franchisees. Because then only franchisees stay with you for longer, not only just longer, but they also bring in other franchisees through a reference. A good franchisee is always a testimonial to bring more and more franchisees on system. So friends, I have to take a leave, and I will pass it on to Sonia for taking the balance part of this. And she will also give you what our products are, what kind of services we offer. And then if you have a Q&A, please ask in a Q&A box, and she will be able to take the discussion. So thank you very much for your time. I hope I was able to, in the short period, give you some insights, but we do a larger workshop when we get engaged with the clients. So over to you, Sonia, for taking the balance.
Thank you. Friends, we'll be happy. I see some of you have responded with your company information and also your email ID. And Deepak and Kunal would in fact reach out to everyone, and we'll be happy to also come on a one-to-one discussion with all of you. So just to quickly also recap, if you look at companies which are creating value through franchising, the asset creation is what actually franchising works, because you build your brand, you also build your unit network. It helps you also improve the valuation of your company. It also helps you scale very fast, depending on the strategy that you have, from an area development strategy to a multi-unit franchise strategy. And also, as a brand, you're also able to bring in strategic leverage, which is the brand leverage scale, which you have to negotiate with vendors, technology platforms, financing. So all that becomes very, very powerful. So value creation by franchise companies is a very powerful outcome, which is a combination of scalable operations, the brand equity, which is built over a period of time, and recurring revenue, and all that in a asset light model. And franchise businesses, whether franchisors or franchisee, they are often valued at a premium compared to standalone businesses due to the growth potential, margin profile your businesses have, and repeatable, successful, and sustainable formula which can be given to a franchisee. So very quickly, I'll take you through the different offerings. So one, we have Franco, which works with companies to make them ready to get into franchising. So everything from your strategy piece, which is your go-to-market strategy, competition analysis, what is the model for rollout, or your profile of partners, all that comes in our very first piece. So strategy founds, in fact, it is the foundation of our entire consulting program. And post the strategy, our teams also work with our companies to build the entire business financials. So when I say business financials, these are primarily unit economics of how to run and operate a unit. So unit economics is all about your per square feet efficiencies, your rent to sale ratio, your stock turnover. All that is something which becomes a part of our financial business model. And then comes the SOPs. These are standard operating processes, which are very, very important for any franchisor to ensure it is given to a franchisee. And then comes the legal draft. These are the legal agreements which are signed between the brand, which is you, and your franchise partner. And because India works on a British contract, everything that is part of the contract becomes a binding between both the partners. These legal agreements have to be extremely tight. And then comes the marketing communication, which is primarily your franchise kit, your printed material, your brochures, which go to the franchisees, and followed by training. So at TrendCorp, we also work with a lot of franchise companies to even train their team or their partners. If they have a larger network, we also do that. So advisory becomes, I would say, a very first part of our services. And this is very important for anyone who is getting into franchise business, because you need to be ready and prepared to offer your business model. Because when a company raises an investment, because this is a debt-free investment that you raise, and it's very important because people give you that capital or money on the pretext that your business model is sustainable, it is tried and tested, and they can replicate that success taking the franchise. So franchise consulting, which is a complete franchise development program, is the core specialization of Francorp. And once that is done, our team at Franchise India, also with our distribution, which is spread about 97 cities, and depending on if your brand is also ready to go to international geographies, we have our offices across different markets, including the subcontinent, GCG, and Southeast Asia. So we also work with companies to even appoint their franchise partner. So when I say how do we do that? So at Franchise India, we run a very big media business also. So there are about 200 exhibitions that we do. We have a website called franchiseindia.com. I'll also request, if you've not seen the website, please go and check the website of Franchise India. And we also do, apart from the larger exhibitions which we do, we also do a lot of micro events every single month. About 12 to 15 micro events are done specially for our clients, which are onboarded by Franchise India, where we take a mandate from companies to appoint franchise partners for them. So, and these events all come free, so to say. The investment on these events is done by Franchise India, because we obviously make money when we sell the franchisee. So we participate, and we also bring the brand representative to these events. And the marketing is done through all the Franchise India platforms, which includes our website. There are a lot of campaigns that we do on the social media. There's a dedicated team which is assigned to a specific brand. And depending on the rollout, we have different spokes across India who can be assigned on the project. So Franchise India has, we have about 1,200 people that work. And I also have a very strong channel partner structure, which is spread across not only the top tiers, but also tier 2, tier 3 cities of India. So any company which is onboarded, all our team members and partners are in fact trained on that business opportunity, trained on that business, trained on the entire brand journey, and they represent that to potential investors. And then through the lead generation, which is done, we also have a qualifying criteria of leads. So whenever the lead comes in, we qualify these leads against 4 primary fitments, and every brand would have some fitment which is more important than the other. But the primary fit based on which all the leads which come to us for taking a franchisee are filtered against the criteria or the parameters which are given by the company. And these 4 primary fits are primarily their strategic, I would say, strength or fitment, which could mean maybe if they own a strategic property, if they have some experience in relevant business or complementing business. Second is their operational fitment of their time they will bring in the business. Third is their market fitment of local marketing and also the rollout that we are looking at any specific markets. And then comes the financial fitment, which is the capacity of these investors to invest in the business. So when our teams work on any project, we take and filter these leads against these 4 parameters. And then after this fitment is done by us, we bring in the brand representatives, the founders or the leadership management of the companies for a one-to-one meeting with these investors. So these are largely all the services that we offer to our companies. Next slide, please. I think we can skip this. These are different other services. So we also have a property team that can also help in selection of property. We also have a separate business, which is Fran Money, which can also work with companies and investors to help them bring financing for franchise business. And recruitment is the talent recruitment. If a lot of startups sometimes come to us when they also need the talent at their own office to support the expansion of franchise network. So all these services are value-added services. These are not a part of our core offering, but any company that requires that is something that also our company offers. So friends, I'll request if you can also reach out to us. We will be happy to connect with you, have a detailed call. And we also, because we have offices across India, and every month Mr. Mare is traveling to all major cities, we like meeting our clients in person, so we understand what your requirements are. And business, I would say expansion and the business that we do is more about understanding, your readiness to get into franchising, how well you can support the network. So when we do these meetings, we even assess if you're ready to get into franchising. So I'll request if you're keen, please share your details with us, and Deepak and his team would get in touch with every I think a brand which has in fact joined us, and we can come on one-to-one meetings and calls with all of you. So thank you so much, friends, for being with us today. Over to you, Bharat. Sheenam ji, you have raised your hand. If you can just put your question in the Q&A box, I'll be happy to answer that. Anyways, Deepak, over to you, Bharat.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonia ma'am. Friends, I hope you've got a good insight on franchising. And if you have any question or you want to have a detailed discussion or understand whether your business is franchise ready, what all companies we've done in your space, we are more than happy to have a 45 minutes call with Gaurav sir, Sonia ma'am, to give you an insight that how we can help you scale this, what is required at this point to scale your business. Me and Kunal are going to get in touch with you. And you can send us your queries, and then we can schedule a call with Gaurav sir and Sonia ma'am. Thank you so much, friends, for joining the webinar. Kunal is going to very soon touch base with you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Sonia ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.